All right. Awesome. All right. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the newest edition of The Cut. I'm Thomas Roth, and I'm here to give you the real takes that we're all craving. So, here at The Cut, our mission's simple. We're giving you real, unfiltered takes on everything from politics and current events to conspiracy theories, entertainment, and pop culture. The goal's simple: to keep you informed and entertained while we build a mutual trust through an honest, no nonsense conversation. So, that being said, we're going to go over some stuff for tonight, September 23rd, 2024. Tonight's show, we are going to delve into a couple different topics. There's some wide ranging stuff here. We're going to talk about the recent gunshot that went off by Donald Trump last week. Then we're going to get into the recent uptick in some COVID cases. Kind of seems like that's getting back into the public sphere there. And then after that, we're going to look at the state of Ohio and how Ohio has fared in the recreational marijuana space. And then, to end the show tonight, we're going to talk conspiracy theories. And then I have a very important personal announcement. So, that being said, before we get into that, I want to give our sponsor shout out here. Shout out to Oquendo Productions, our main sponsor. Anthony Oquendo, the producer of this show, owns Oquendo Productions amongst other businesses in the area. If you're looking for anything to record important events in your life, be it a wedding, be it a baby shower, maybe you're selling your home and you need a new innovative way to do that by going through drone fly-throughs, or maybe you have a drift car, you go in a demolition derby. Nothing is off limits for this man. He's going to make sure you have the best experience with the videographer and photographer. So hit up Quendo Productions on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure they're on Instagram as well. But thank you to our sponsor, and now let's get right into it. All right. So, last week, Donald Trump was shot at by a gentleman by the name of Ryan Wesley Routh. And there is a video. Anthony, if you could pull that video up for me real quick here. We're going to delve into that a little bit, and we're going to maybe get a brief overview from the AP News on what exactly went down. And it's not a video, actually. It's a news article. I apologize. So while Anthony pulls that up, please be sure, everybody, to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel and to this video so we can get you the most important information in a very time-effective and fun manner. So we got it up down here. I don't know where my fingers are going. But so the AP News puts out an article last week. Trump was the subject of an apparent assassination attempt at his Florida golf club, the FBI says. So his Florida golf club is Mar-a-Lago, where he actually also resides. I think that's actually his home as well. This gentleman by the name of Ryan Wesley Routh appears to have attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump. So basically, the long and short of it, what ended up happening was police couldn't figure out what to charge this dude with, which is kind of crazy because, it's a assassination attempt, as I believe his name is Mark Dispoto, later comes out and says. But initially, the fact of the matter was the police couldn't figure out what to charge him with. So there's a bevy of things that he was doing. He was open carrying a long gun, which is legal in the state of Florida. You can't really get in trouble for that. He had a backpack, a scope, ammunition, and a GoPro. All of those things are not illegal to have in the state of Florida. And he was also what they call what they said was 5 football fields away from Donald Trump at the time. So call it 500-ish, a little bit more yards, right? So Ryan Wesley Routh, he allegedly attempts to shoot at Donald Trump. The assassination attempt fails, or the purported assassination attempt fails. There were U.S. Secret Service agents stationed a few holes up from where Trump was playing, and they noticed the muzzle of an AK-47 style rifle sticking through the shrubbery, and it was roughly 400 or 500 yards away. An agent fired, and the gunman dropped the rifle and fled in an SUV, leaving the firearm behind along with 2 backpacks, a scope used for aiming, and a GoPro camera. This is according to the Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw. Mr. Roth was stopped by law enforcement in a neighboring county. So, it's kind of interesting that this had happened, and now they're saying that they're trying to induct Mr. Roth on federal gun charges, which is a very, very vague thing to try to indict him on. Do I think that there was intent to hurt the president there, or the former president there? Absolutely. Do I think that this falls in line with what happened not even 2 months ago when he was in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania? I think that this goes in line with what was going on. There seems to be, in as many months, 2 assassination attempts on him, and it seems to be that people are now kind of not covering this as much as they did maybe the initial assassination attempt that was in Butler, Pennsylvania. And so why is that? Right? So when this initially happened at the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, it was all over the news. You couldn't get away from it. It was all over my X feed. It was all over my Facebook feed. It was for 2 weeks maybe, right? Well, now this really hasn't made the headlines that made. So I think that that's for a few reasons, be it right or wrong. Let's break down who Donald Trump is. Okay. So, former President Trump obviously was the 45th president of the United States of America. He ran on the Republican ticket. He got in. He was a very divisive figure amongst his party and other parties that are present in America, right? And with that being a divisive figure, controversy is going to follow you wherever you go. I mean, it's just kind of like the fact of the matter. I find it very interesting that as this evolved and turned into this event, that we aren't treating it with the seriousness that it is. Can someone say maybe that, it wasn't an assassination attempt and he just happened to be near Donald Trump? I mean, you could say that. I mean, you definitely could. But it is just a little strange that this happened, because initially we don't have the information, right? We're just digesting information through live stream of consciousness on X or Instagram, Threads, or Facebook, right? We're not there. We're not privy to all the information as it happens. We're dependent on consuming that information from other people. There is later there were things that came out, and there was a video that I actually saw, and it seems that they found that there's footage of a letter that's purportedly found. So, Anthony, if you be so kind as to pull that video up for me so that we can maybe digest that content.
Sure, you got to give me a second here.
No, that's cool, brother. That's cool.
Got to make sure we're on the same. Okay.
Get a little water break in there. All right, so again, this is a video of Ryan Wesley Routh, and they allegedly have found a letter that Mr. Routh had wrote. All right, so Anthony, go ahead and play that.
Yeah, so is there no audio on this video?
I couldn't tell you.
Have you watched it
earlier? Yeah.
You had audio?
Yeah, I had audio.
Okay, because I'm not getting any audio, brother.
Okay.
Okay. You want to go ahead and read that letter while I figure this audio up?
Yes. So this is allegedly from Ryan Wesley Routh, who allegedly tried to assassinate the 45th president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. And the note reads, "Dear world, this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump but I am so sorry I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. It is up to you now to finish the job, and I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job. Everyone across the globe, from the youngest to the oldest, know that Trump is unfit to be anything, much less a U.S. president. U.S. presidents must, at bare minimum, embody the moral fabric that is something cut off. Trump fails to understand any of this, and that appears to be all that we get from there.
I might have the audio. Let's see it.
Let's see, Anth. Getting nothing. That's okay. So again, in this letter, it is described as a chilling letter from the suspect. He's offering $150,000 to whomever can complete the job. Very interesting. So if this is in fact Mr. Roth's modus operandi, that is pretty disgusting. And I find it interesting in this letter that he says a U.S. president must at bare minimum embody the moral fabric. So when you say that, you talk about like what if someone writes that they must embody the moral fabric. That would imply that that person writing the letter knows what the moral fabric of this country is. And I'm pretty sure that our moral fabric in this country isn't going and trying to assassinate somebody that we don't agree with. Right? If that were the case, I don't think there would be anybody in this country left, because not everyone is going to agree with everybody. And that's part of what makes this country fantastic. We are able to have our opinions, and we are able to live a life free of consequence from what we believe. That doesn't mean, though, that it's free of consequence from what we say. We're protected under freedom of speech, but that doesn't protect us from freedom of consequence from what we say. I mean, I can say something egregiously racist and I'm allowed to say it, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to incur consequences from there, right? And the interesting part of this is that the Secret Service has come out and said that that they didn't know any of this was going on. They had no indication that someone was there until they started to put some pieces together for this. It's just interesting because other way, Anthony. A little bit more. Good. So it's interesting because, and I apologize, I'm just making sure my notes are all right. Donald Trump is a man that we have seen over the course of his initial campaign for presidency back in 2016. And then even today, he is very present and very participatory in live rallies. And this is something that the Secret Service has actually actively discouraged and even begged him to stop doing. Okay. Donald Trump lives at Mar-a-Lago. He's known, there are stories of him crashing weddings and roaming around the grounds at all hours of the day. I imagine that that's probably a Secret Service nightmare, right? You're creating a situation for the Secret Service to actively not be able to always be helping you, because what we have, if we're going to crash weddings, right? I just know for me, like if I crashed a wedding, I probably wouldn't know everybody there. And if I don't know everybody there and, no one really has a problem with me, something could still happen to me. But if you're the 45th former president of the United States and you're famously a little bit divisive, I imagine that the Secret Service would want to vet every person that is going to be in that space on that property. And it just makes it harder when you go around doing these things. And Donald Trump has famously said he's never going to surrender. He's never going to stop. So I'm not saying he's inviting these kind of things, but if you play a game, you're going to win a prize, right? That's just kind of how the world operates, I suppose. So when we talk about that and we talk about being a nightmare for the Secret Service, these scenarios that they train for, the worst case, become very real at any given moment. I go back to the crashing weddings at Mar-a-Lago. I don't think it's in his best interest to do something like that, because now we have another purported assassination attempt on this man. And if he's never going to surrender, if he's never going to quit, he's just going to keep putting himself out there for a situation that might not be a good one. And if you want to keep going for me, Anth.
Yeah, I think I've got the audio working. If you want to go back and watch this video.
Let's try to go back and watch the video. Let's see here. Right. And this is actually from Entertainment Tonight, too. So, interesting. Also interesting. We have an unidentified civilian witness and hand over the letter, ammunition, and a pipe bomb or a metal bomb. And the letter offers a bounty on Trump's life, suggesting a premeditated assassination attempt. Okay. How do we know it's from him? You know what I mean? How do we know that that letter is from that person? It's unless we witnessed him write it, or there's a sworn statement, or he himself handed it over. I don't know if we'll ever know the validity of that, unless he goes on TV in some Max Headroom style announcement where he hijacks a public access channel and says that's what he did. I don't know if we'll ever really know, and that's sad. That's a sad state of affairs that we're in. If you like him or don't like him, or if you're indifferent, he's still a human being that still wants to do what he can for our country. And I don't respect cowards. And it seems to be that this is what that gentleman that supposedly shot at Donald Trump is, if these things are factual. You want to keep it going? Okay. Okay. Using the letter to argue that Roth intended to harm Trump. Okay. So this is just another angle of what we saw earlier. So charged with 2 gun crimes, including possession of a firearm as a convicted felon. That's a twist I didn't know. I didn't know that he was a convicted felon. That wasn't in any article that I had read. So it seems that there are more breadcrumbs being added to the trail in the proverbial Hansel and Gretel type situation, where we leave breadcrumbs and we uncover those breadcrumbs so that we can learn a little bit more. So I'm going to end this here with just a couple of maybe points, or maybe not a point, but more of a question, right? So why are people trying to assassinate Donald Trump? Why have there been 2 attempts on him? He's divisive. We went over that a little bit earlier, right? Donald Trump is a divisive human being, but love him or hate him, he is the 45th president of the United States of America. He did a lot of good for this country, and there were some things that I didn't agree with. But that doesn't mean that he deserves to go out there and be shot at 2 times in 2 months. This is a human being at the end of the day. And I think that not so much they're trying to assassinate him because of this, but I think that it's becoming more prevalent is because of the rise of social media. We have such access, as I talked about earlier, to these feeds like X and Threads and Facebook, so many things that we are able to consume content through now. And with that, we can get people's locations so quickly, especially if they're a celebrity. I remember back in, I think it was 2010, 2011, when LeBron James was gonna have the decision to stay with the Cavaliers or go to another team, and people were tracking planes that they knew him to be on. So it's kind of crazy, like with the rise of social media and the rise of how prevalent the internet is in our everyday life, we're able to consume this information and find out more about people now than we ever have before. So, I mean, as we look at this, social media plays a huge impact in the livelihood of these famous individuals. And we're seeing that in the here and now, because the initial attempted assassin of Donald Trump was said to be a 4chan lurker. And we're going to get into 4chan a little bit later in the show. But we're seeing that. And now also people on the left versus the right, they have really been more divided than ever. I mean, as someone who identified more as a leftist even 2 years ago, and now who identifies more in the middle or right, I've seen just people attack each other in ways I've never seen people attack each other before over political beliefs. It's really not that deep. You can believe what you want to believe. I'll believe what I want to believe, but don't ever tell me that I'm wrong, and I'm never going to tell you that you're wrong, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all allowed to have that opinion. Again, that's what makes America great. But the left versus the right, you're seeing instances of people social media wise, even like going on like it's these damn leftists and they're the ones that are going after Trump, yada yada. And hey, I understand it's probably more going to be a person who identifies on the opposite of the political spectrum than the person they're trying to assassinate, but people are lumping all leftists in with this person, or all right-wing people in with one radical right-wing person's belief, and that's just simply not fair. So what my call to action for everyone on watching this show now and in the future is find an opinion, stick behind it, but challenge yourself to look at the other side of the coin, because there's always a heads and a tails side when you flip that thing, right? So you might call heads, but I think it might be worth looking at tails every once in a while. I did, and I was able to completely change around my political beliefs, and I feel it's for the better. So in closing, we went over in this segment Donald Trump and the purported assassination attempt on him. I want to throw this out there. We like to do a predictions type thing. I don't like predicting this, but I do think that if there's been 2 in 2 months, it stands to reason that more could happen, and I don't want that to happen. But I think whether you believe in God or not, I think you should probably say a prayer and make sure that all these people get through this election year safely, because it's turned into kind of chaos, and that's not good. We're trying to determine the future of our country, not throw everyone into the Call of Duty war zone and let them duke it out. That's just not what we should be doing. But I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for tuning in this far. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and share so that you can get more people to consume this content, which is my goal, which is Anthony's goal, and it's been the goal of the podcast since the beginning. So thank you very much. And now we are about to move on to our next segment of the show. And again, I want to send a big shout out to Oquendo Productions for producing this show and for being the best sponsor that we could have. We definitely appreciate it. So Oquendo Productions on Facebook and Instagram and anywhere else that you can find something. I'm sure he's there. Hit him up for anything you need. Wedding videos, senior photos, drift videos. Maybe you're selling your house and you want a above the house picture. Maybe get a nice picture of that roof. Good selling point to a house. Let's try it out and give Anthony Oquendo and Oquendo Productions a call. So, the next talking point is something that I didn't think we'd be talking about in 2024. I thought we left it in 2020, but it's the uptick in COVID cases. So, Anthony, I believe you have a video queued up where a doctor is discussing the uptick in the COVID-19 cases via CBS News in LA. So if you can get that playing for me, I'd certainly appreciate it.
You're doing good, bro.
Oh, we need to get out of that one. Huh? Oh, we're good? All right, cool. So, Fantastic video, very informative, I feel, and comes from obviously someone who's very intimately familiar with the COVID-19 vaccines, which I think is important here. So, 2020, we all remember the COVID-19 hit. Everything shut down. It was fucking chaos everywhere for over a year. Over a year, right? So why the uptick? Because if we beat it once, we should be able to beat it again. But why beat it again? You know what I mean? Because we already beat it. So here's the thing about diseases that I don't think a lot of people realize is that viruses mutate. They become immune to current vaccines and boosters, right? So here's a really fun fact for you guys. Super fun fact. And you can fact check me. I don't give a shit. I actually encourage fact checking me and calling me out on my shit. So everybody likes the triple antibiotic ointments. They like Bactine when you have a cut, right? You cut yourself when you were little, right? And mom came over and she sprayed you with the Bactine and then put the triple antibiotic on you and then bandaged you up, right? Well, that shit doesn't fucking work as good anymore. You know why? Because viruses mutated. Infections bacteria has mutated to become resistant to those things. So while they do still work, it's just not as effective as it used to be, right? So go ahead, fact check me on that. But it stands to reason if something like Bactine and fucking triple antibiotic ointment, which has been around forever, can be nullified or negated or mitigated by bacteria, stands to reason that a disease can too, right? This isn't something I think that the government's doing and trying to fuck us all over again, but I simply think that the virus continues to dynamically mutate, which is what a disease does. That's what anything does. You know, you still get a flu vaccine or a booster every year because the flu mutates, but it's not as sexy to say that the flu mutates because it's not that hot button issue right now. COVID-19 is. Right? So how do we stop this, right? Is it more vaccines and boosters? Is that it? I don't think anyone's going to be happy about hearing that, and I'm not of the opinion that you should do that. What I think has happened is that there is a relaxation of public health protocols. And what do I mean by that, right? So, real world example, 2020, when they told us all to sit our asses at home, right? We did that. But eventually, we needed to go get groceries, or eventually, we needed to, if you live in Ashtabula, go to Applebee's and get their Dollarita and wings. That's just personal. I like Dollaritas and wings. But, you couldn't go in and sit and eat initially, right? You had to go in there and you had to get the food and bring it home. You know, a lot of businesses were impacted by stuff like that, like Young Tongue in Madison, Ohio, completely shut their buffet down, and all the normalcy that they had for 50 plus years was now relegated to a window and takeout, right? So we became lax and complacent because we thought that we beat COVID-19, and if we beat it once, it's never going to come back again. So we stopped doing the social distancing because we were told we were allowed to. We stopped not packing restaurants, and we stopped using the hand sanitizer at every junction. We stopped doing all that shit because we thought that we were in the clear, but we're not in the clear. We're just out of the eye of the storm, and it's going to another one if we don't start doing the right thing. So by stopping all of that, we gave ourselves a sense of normalcy back that we all craved, right? Everyone craved to go back to normal, and that's a normal that's a human thing. We all wanted to be back to what we knew, not this dynamic new thing that was admittedly very scary, right? It was scary to go into my former job at my old dealership and go in and sit there behind a plexiglass window and talk to a customer and slide things around. That was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to just give someone keys to a car and tell them to take a test drive, but that's what I had to do, right? So that I could keep my life going and I could um, best protect my family, right? That sense of normalcy came back and it was like an adrenaline rush, a dopamine infusion, man. Like, hey, shit is normal again and I'm happy again. And hey, we're never going to have to worry about this again because we're out of the shit. But if we don't go back to just maybe not even the masks is the right thing, because I think that they actually came out and said that the masks weren't as effective as it was made out to be. And I'm not sure on that. Maybe Anthony could find an article or something like that for me as I continue to ramble. But here's the big question. If there is an uptick in COVID like they say that there is, will we go back to how it was if this surge continues? Will we have to go back to social distancing? Will we have to go back to hand sanitizer all the time and not being able to go into your restaurant and sit next to another table again and have to sit a couple tables away from people? Is that the shit that we're going to have to go back to? So this is from the Mayo Clinic. Thank you for bringing this up, Anthony. So the Mayo Clinic, I would say, is probably a very accurate and very trustworthy source. So the article reads, can the face masks help slow the spread of the virus that causes the coronavirus disease 2019, aka COVID-19? Yes. When used with measures such as getting vaccinated, hand washing, and physical distancing, wearing a face mask slows how quickly the virus causes COVID-19 spreads. But it doesn't stop it. And we were led to believe in 2020 that if you wore a face mask, you were safe, right? But what I get from that is you're not safe, you're just better protected. So there was a big load of shit for a whole lot of people complaining about these face masks, and it could have been, if we just did what we were doing, we would have had the same result, you could argue. So do I think that we'll go back to how it was if the surge continues? I think it's a very good possibility. And I don't think that we have anyone to blame at that point but ourselves, because every single one of us is guilty of it, going back to exactly how it was. And a lot of you aren't vaccinated and a lot of you are vaccinated. But here's the thing. What did the vaccine really do? Because you're still getting COVID-19. The guy even said it in the video. You could have gotten COVID-19 once or twice, been vaccinated, and you're still getting this strain. So what's it really protecting? Right? So I haven't gotten a flu shot in years. I haven't been immunized from COVID-19. And I've gotten COVID. It sucked. It was fucking awful. Like, I was moving into my new house at the time, so I think that kind of made it really shitty for me. But I mean, that was my choice, and that's what I did, and I stand behind it. But I don't think that I'm at the point yet where I get vaccinated. And I think a lot of people still aren't at that point, or probably will never be at that point, and that's completely fine. Just like I'm not going to sit here and make fun of someone that got vaccinated in the first round, because guess what? That was what you thought was the best idea for you, your family, your safety, and how you're going to proceed with your life. And I'm not going to fucking sit here and judge you for that, right? But if we do go back to how it was, if the surge continues, I say we have no one to blame but ourselves, okay? Because I didn't really have a problem standing 6 feet away from people, and I didn't really have a problem that much with sitting a couple table lengths away from people at a restaurant. I actually fucking liked it, because even though I'm a car salesman and I do a podcast and I'm a fucking charming human being, I mean, as we all know, I don't really like people, and I get anxiety around people, and it was fucking amazing for me not having to stand right next to someone in a line. I mean, it really helped me out a lot with my anxiety. But to detract from that a little bit, I had a question that me and a couple people were talking about. Does this uptick in COVID-19 have a political origin, and does it have anything to do with the upcoming election and the potential changing of the guard in our presidency? Everyone always talks about election years being a year where shit happens, right? And how crazy is it that they're talking about this uptick right around the time, a couple weeks after the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and then you've got, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and now you're having a second debate coming up, I think potentially very soon. So there's key talking points here that these presidential hopefuls can talk about, and it would be a very interesting thing to see what their position would be if it gets as bad as it was. What is their plan? Because I think now this is a very good talking point and could be something very telling for how they would run their presidency and how they would view the American people with a potential COVID-19 action plan that has to happen again. So in closing, we talked about the uptick in the COVID-19 cases. It's coming back in force. I don't think it's anything to play with, but I do think it is being a little overblown, and that does happen in an election year. Shit gets overblown, But my prediction for this is I do think that we will see a higher uptick in the cases, especially with flu season coming around. But I do think that some COVID-19 cases are going to be, or that some flu cases are going to be misidentified as COVID-19 and vice versa. I never want to see anyone get hurt from it. Never want to see anybody die. But the thing is, we're in flu season, we're in RSV season, and unfortunately, now it's also COVID-19 season. The shit is here. The shit is serious. Be like the Wu-Tang Clan said and protect your neck, right? Protect yourself and just be fucking smart and wash your fucking hands and maybe stand a little bit farther away from people, And if someone asks you why, just be like, hey, I think the dude in front of me ripped ass. If you don't want to adhere to a social distancing thing, it's fine. Who fucking cares? But I want to thank you guys for tuning into this segment with me. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and share this video so you can keep digesting our comment and we can keep cutting shit up for you so you can see it. All right. And now we're going to get into the third segment of the show that concerns reefer. Actually, it's just recreational marijuana in Ohio is a thing, and it's awesome. When did it happen, Tom? Like you don't fucking know. So on November 7th, 2023, Ohio became the 24th state to legalize adult use cannabis, with 57% of voters voting in favor of issue 2, also known as an act to control and regulate adult use cannabis. On August 6th of this year, on August 6, 2024, sales began with first dual-use dispensaries opening their doors to recreational consumers. Right here in Ashtabula, you can drive onto Route 20, right by the Delta Railroad, and right by Giant Eagle, because I can't think of anyone who doesn't want to get high and look at trains and then go get a fucking donut than someone in Ashtabula, and they put all that shit right next to each other. That's a fucking marketing genius. But here's my question. How has the economy in Ohio been impacted by the legalization of marijuana? And now we're going to see an idea of it. Hit the video. All right, very interesting. Very interesting. Pure Ohio Wellness. Fantastic brand. Fantastic brand. We love Pure Ohio Wellness. I walked into a dispensary and I said, Pure Ohio Wellness. Never felt so well in my life. That was a Donald Trump thing. Anyway, so we can see that there is a very sizable economic impact in the state of Ohio. There was $11 million in revenue that first week, and then 1.05 was given, and they're saying if it continues this way, Ohio's going to see an uptick or not an uptick, but a tangible result of that. But here's my question. Is this going to benefit schools? Is it going to benefit roads, transportation? What about the job creation aspect of it, right? So we all know what marijuana is. We know what marijuana does, right? It was always vilified as this thing that, there was literally fucking movies in the 1920s made about this plant called Reefer Madness, right? And in Reefer Madness, they smoked weed and they just acted fucking weird, and they like sex crimes and shit would occur and all sorts of crazy things. But I mean, that couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, it inspires creativity. It calms anxiety. It helps with pain. Cancer patients ingest it to be able to eat. I mean, cancer patients that are fucking withering away are able to eat because of it, right? So it's a great tool, but any type of tool can be used for something bad. You use a hammer and you can make a house with that hammer, right? Like you can nail in some fucking nails and maybe pull some shit out where you fucked up. But the hammer, you could also use it to maim someone. You know what I mean? So it's all in how you use that tool, right? I think the onus is on the state of Ohio, which has completely rewritten the bill. I mean, multiple times. Like it's almost like it's not what we voted for, because initially you were allowed way more plants for home grow use, and now you're only limited to I think it's 2 per adult per household, when I think initially it was 6. I could be wrong. If someone wants to fact check me and let me know, I'll admit when I'm wrong, but that's just as I understood it, or maybe that was proposed. I do know that Sherrod Brown was in favor of marijuana legalization in Ohio, and Mike DeWine was just vehemently opposed to it. And Mike DeWine continuously tries to fight this, and it's like, brother, like, why? This is what we voted for. You're for the people. Your job as a public servant is to serve the public, and this is what Ohio wanted. This is what we asked for, right? Because we knew the impact it could make in our social and home lives of destigmatizing something that was referred to as a Schedule I drug, and just really aids in so much. It's not like fucking heroin, which is just useless and ruins people's lives. I've never heard of marijuana ruining someone's life, but the benefit of schools, roads, transportation. What I mean by transportation is public transportation, like the Lake Tran, right? Or your trains, railroad systems, right? Roads in the state of Ohio. I mean, how much do I pay in fucking taxes every year? And my roads are still fucked up. You go out to Geneva, you go out to Madison areas, and they've got projects out there that are going to last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? And the road's still going to be fucked up. And what about schools? Edgewood High School is actively looking at building a new school, and the taxpayer is going to have to pay for it. But if you're making this money, and that was in 1 week, 1.05 million, right? And not everyone could get in, and there wasn't enough product. What happens in 3 years when there is enough product and there is enough infrastructure and there are enough dispensaries where you can make tangible, life-altering things happen in the state of Ohio because of marijuana sales? Is it still going to be a stigma because it came from marijuana? I think if that is the case, that's bullshit, because of the job creation. How many families now will be able to have someone that previously couldn't get a job? Hey, I applied and now I'm working for Clutch or Pure Ohio Wellness, and I work in the grow area. We're out here growing. We're out here making fantastic product, fantastic medicine for people, because don't get it twisted, it is a medicine, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But you're creating jobs, and people can go and actually learn how this affects people's lives and how they can actively impact people from making are growing marijuana. You know, there's people out in Ashtabula, someone that graduated a couple years before Anthony and I actually graduated from a cannabis college and is in the process right now of trying to buy a farm so that he can start growing, like make a business out of it. My younger brother, who's never liked a fucking job in his life, like old boy's 33 years old and it was still trying to find what he wanted to do when he grew up. He just got hired at a marijuana dispensary and he told me, Tom, I think this is what I wanted to do when I grew up. I'm like the perfect guy for this shit, man. And I'm like, hey, that's fucking dope, dude. Like, you're out there doing it now. And you're creating these jobs, and to a lesser extent, you're creating self-esteem. Like, I've never seen my younger brother that happy before. That was refreshing, because generally he's pretty fucking depressed. And he was happy. That was dope, right? But there's some shit that's not so dope about legal dope, man. Like, and one of those things are price hikes. And we've seen price hikes happen a lot in the past couple of years, right? In every field. And I'm looking at it, you know, milk used to cost like 75 cents a gallon, and now it costs like $2.15. I mean, it's not huge, but it's still noticeable over time, right? But I am a medical marijuana patient. I've had my medical marijuana card for 2 years now, and I've used it to help with my anxiety, and I like to consume it in the form of oils, like they're called luster pods or carts, right? They're like little screw-on, kind of look like you'd find in like a jewel pod or something, right? Used to cost me like anywhere from $25 to $35 for a pretty good one, right? Like something that was really going to chill me out with my anxiety. Now that same exact strain, that same exact weight of 0.83 grams in a luster pod, costs upward of $60. And then they throw it in a sale, and then it goes back down to what it was. So it's not really a sale. You're just putting it down to what it was. And why is that? Well, there's a production demand, right? And we're not able to keep up in the state of Ohio with this being legal now. You don't have to go to the black market. You can go to the broad daylight market, as it were, and purchase this. So the supply goes down, but the demand's really high. So you got to expedite production. You have to maybe get something from somewhere else, and that comes at a cost, right? And that exact same thing happened in the state of Michigan when marijuana became legal, and now their prices are dirt cheap, right? You can get 10 1-gram carts of the oils in the little screw-on pods, 10 1-gram carts for $100. That's amazing, and I'm sure that we will see that in the state of Ohio soon, I think within the next couple of years. But what's not fair is that we've increased the prices because of recreational, but the medical patients have been impacted by this. So there is no price disparity, at least in this area, at this dispensary in this county, or at a couple dispensaries in Lake County, between medical and recreational. So medical patients actually using it as a medicine versus the people that are recreational that can get the same exact product that I can, that are just going to imbibe in it, right? I'm paying the same price, and I understand, but people that actually are on a fixed income and use this stuff as a medicine have been impacted, and now they have to decide, just like with prescription drugs, like, hey, do I pay my water bill this month or do I get my medicine, right? Because, I mean, I don't think it's as dire, like I need marijuana to live, but I mean, if you're a cancer patient and you need it to help you eat, or you don't have an appetite anyway, I would say I'd probably pick my prescription, and it shouldn't be that way. I don't think that medical marijuana should be lumped into the same. It's almost becoming part of big pharma at this point, right? And I don't think that was the initial intention, or maybe it was from these politicians. But I just think it's really interesting, and I would really like to hear your guys' theories on this. So if you could fact check me, if you could interact with me in the live chat or comment on the video later, I'd certainly appreciate that. But I want to thank you for joining me in this segment on medical marijuana in Ohio. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel and this video so we can get you more information that you can consume at a great rate. We're going to cut some shit up for you and make sure that you're able to digest that. So we got 2 more topics we're going to hit tonight. The last one's not really a topic. It's just more of like a fun little thing that I'm about to do. But conspiracy theories. So there's been a lot of them going on the past few years. And what is a conspiracy theory? So from the Oxford Dictionary, a conspiracy theory is a belief that some secret but influential organization is responsible for an event or a phenomenon, right? So let's give an example of a couple conspiracy theories. Okay. Um, September 11th, 2001 was a false flag operation done by George W. Bush to gaslight the Saudi Arabians in the Middle East and make it more acceptable for us to go after their oil. Second one, chemtrails are making frogs gay. Alex Jones from InfoWars made that pretty popular, and it was pretty fucking hilarious. Another one, the moon landing was faked. Some people believe that Stanley Kubrick of The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut, and I mean just a bevy of other films. They're saying he filmed on a set the moon landing to basically make it so that it seemed America got to the moon before the cosmonauts. So why do people subscribe to conspiracy theories? And there's a very good article I didn't source, but I'm going to credit her. Her name is Dr. Karen Douglas. She had an interview where she laid out some key points on why people subscribe to conspiracy theories. So she lists 3 reasons, and one is epistemic motives. So it's a need for knowledge and certainty. And then the second one is existential motives, which refers to people's needs to be or to feel safe and secure in the world that they live in, and also to feel that they have some sort of power or autonomy over the things that happen to them as well. And then the third thing is social motives. So that's like a desire to feel good about yourself and individuals, and also feel good about themselves in terms of the groups that they belong to, right? So when we talk about those 3 motives, right? All of those conspiracy theories, it makes you, if you believe them, you have conviction about them, and you're dead set, dead to rights on that, and talking to your group of friends or anyone about that, you feel more in control about the world going on around you. So just as a for instance, with the moon landing, and Stanley Kubrick filming the moon landing, it can be argued that people knew that they really didn't go to the moon, right? But it was okay because Stanley Kubrick, who's a national treasure of a director, directed this, made it convincing, and made it others feel like we actually went to the moon before the Russians did. And that gives a sense of national pride, right? It instilled national pride in us because, hey, we're still better than them, right? So it's just really interesting that people subscribe to these theories, and they're so deep-seated in their beliefs. They're feeling safe and secure in the world that they live in. And that's important, you know? It's important to feel safe and feel secure in this world, but you need to ensure that you're living in the real world and not just a fucking fallacy, you know? I mean, some of this shit is fucking ridiculous. Like, I do not believe that Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing. There's just no possible way that he could have done that, given the technology at the time and given the limited space that they would have had to create something that had such a breadth about it, right? There was no CGI back then. There was no green screen, anything like that. You had to have practical effects, and practical effects were fantastic at that time. I mean, if we look at some of his later work, like The Shining, it was all done with practical effects. And he directed some amazing shit, but I for as amazing as he was, I don't think he could have directed a moon landing. Do I believe that September 11th was an inside job? I absolutely do. There's a fantastic documentary called Loose Change. You can find that on YouTube. And it lays out why George Bush would have directed the Twin Towers to be controlled demolition, because jet fuel doesn't burn steel beams. It just doesn't. I mean, it's a scientific fact. Jet fuel can't melt a steel beam, and there wouldn't have been such a controlled fall as it was. It would have blown out in and of itself. But if you look at the footage, you can see little flashes happening in some of the windows. I mean, I believe that those are bombs that were attached to the walls, and it all happened, right? It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy that this is the world that we live in, but it's a conspiracy theory that I believe in. And conspiracy theories are very prevalent in today's society. They're very prevalent. And there was one group that actually was so prevalent that they became affiliated with a president, and that was President Donald Trump, and it was the QAnons. So, Anthony, if you could queue up for me real quick up there a video I found from Jon Favreau, not the director slash actor, but but the host of Pod Save America. He'll be on there, and he's going to describe a little bit about what QAnon is. So let's take a look at him. So it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. First of all, I don't think that there is a cult that wants to drain children's blood to stay alive forever in satanic rituals. Although Alex Jones did go to the Bohemian Grove out in Oregon and actually infiltrated that, where there is some weird shit that does go on. I don't think it's to that level. But Donald Trump became so affiliated with the QAnon and the storm that there would be people on a website called 4chan that were actually tracking this, and purportedly Q was from, and he would give little breadcrumbs, right? And say, like, he'd give these random ass numbers and say, on this day, don't worry, or the storm's coming. And he would talk about, or she, or they, depending on how this person identifies, there's going to be military tribunals, and these people are all going to be executed on analog TV. All the digital is going to go out, and it's only going to be public access, and you'll see it happen on there, and all sorts of shit. It was fucking wild. Like, I mean, I had people that I truly love that were so invested in this shit. It felt like a cult. It felt very fucking dangerous, because I believe a lot of shit. I mean, like, if you give me a good argument, I'll look at your side of it, man. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, it's just asinine to believe that QAnon was ever actually a real thing. But it's just so crazy how ingrained the conspiracy theories became in politics and made Trump into a god figure, that that's where we got. And that's what conspiracy theories do, though. If we talk about it, these people felt good and felt like they had a knowledge, right? So they were adhering to the three tenets, the three motives of a conspiracy theory, right? I don't believe that there was harm that was meant from it. I don't believe that anything nefarious was ever going to occur. And I think that this was just a rambling of a mad person. But the way that it ensnared people and the way that it truly captivated them, believer or non-believer, was frightening and exciting at the same time. You got two very different ends of the spectrum of emotions when you thought about QAnon. And I don't think that the QAnon conspiracy is over. And I think that if Donald Trump does get reelected, it will come back in full force. And I think you'll see an uptick in 4chan views again, because 4chan kind of fell off the radar for a while there. But 4chan's a fucking wild website. Don't go there. But if you do decide to go there, it's 4chan.ch. It's a fucking wild website. But I don't recommend going there. But I do want to know what you guys believe. So, like, what's a crazy ass conspiracy theory that you believe, and give me some reasons why it's valid. Shoot me a message on Facebook. It's either The Cut, or to Anthony Oquendo, or to Thomas Roth, or do it right here in the live chat during this segment or after the fact. It doesn't matter. We will read it and we will address it later. But I want to know what you believe. Like, I want to see what's going on in your guys' head. So, I'm just really excited to talk more about this on podcasts in the future. So in closing to that, we went over what a conspiracy theory is. We went over why they're prevalent in society today and the three motivations behind them, and then 4chan. My prediction, again, I do believe that QAnon is going to become prevalent again if Donald Trump does get elected, and I do think that it's going to get a little fucking wilder and a little bit more religious, because it was a very religious type thing, or with religious illusions, I should say. But call to action, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and share the channel so that we can keep cutting shit up for you to like, and you can keep interacting with us. So again, thank you very much. And now we're going to close the show out. We're going to close the show out, guys. It's a very tough day. It's a very tough weekend for me. It was very tough, actually. I dealt with an event yesterday that has dynamically changed my life, the course of my life, and I want to bring it to your guys' attention, just so you know going forward what's going on with me and where I'm at in a mental space, right? I left a relationship today, a very important relationship to me. It's been very important to me for many years. I've shared many laughs, many tears, many victories, many defeats. I've cried with this. I've laughed with this. I've bought this things. I've never gotten anything in return, and I'm just done. So today I am announcing I've officially left my relationship with the Cleveland Browns. And it's just been 35 years I've been on this earth, and the Browns have been on it for 97% of it. And I've defended these fucking people day in and day out for what seems like 28, 29 years, maybe longer. And yesterday we played the New York Giants. The Giants are a fucking awful team. I mean, they're awful. And Daniel Jones, the quarterback, is like the whitest man of all time. He looks like he'd play Eli Manning in a Lifetime movie about Eli Manning's life. He doesn't look like an actual NFL quarterback, but he looked like fucking Tom Brady out there yesterday. Daniel Jones never even looked like Tom Brady when he was in high school and a good recruit going up against lesser teams. He looked absolutely fucking amazing yesterday, and we looked like absolute fucking trash. And I'm done. And you know, I have very fond memories of this team, and I have very fond memories of the laughs and the happiness and everything that came with it. But today I broke up with them. I posted a video of it on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, I should say. So what I'm doing, and it's a call of action to you guys. I am, for the rest of the NFL season, I'm going to start watching football again. Browns usually play at 1:00. I am not going to watch the game that the Browns are playing. I'm going to watch the opposite game. And I'm going to do that every week. I'm going to 4:00 game, 8:00 game, all that shit. The Monday night games, all that. But I will not watch the Browns. I will still check in on them, you know, on my phone, because I am a fantasy football degenerate. I am a gambling degenerate. So I do need to check. I have a vested interest in some players. But I need to start scouting a team for next year. So who do you guys think would be a good team for me to start supporting? Please share it in the comments, send me a text message, send me a message on Facebook, send Anthony a message on Facebook, send the Cut a message on Facebook, whatever. But start suggesting to me and tell me why I should support this team, right? So yeah, go ahead, guys. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe to my comment or my announcement there of breaking up with the Browns. But so we didn't have any comments tonight. I do want to I do want to thank you guys for watching this tonight, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, to this video, everything in the future, so we can cut more shit up for you and get you going. But the big announcement tonight but there was a personal announcement. Now this is the big announcement. The cut has changed. It's dynamically changed, and it's changing possibly forever. It was a change. I walked in. I said, it's a big change. I walked into the room. It's the biggest change I've ever seen. You are going to be getting me on the mic from now on. And Anthony, who is a expert at production and graphics and all that, is moving to be the producer. He's exclusively going to produce, and I'm exclusively going to give you the content. So you're going to have to see my ugly ass face and annoying ass voice once a week going forward. We're going to be doing this on Mondays from now on, because guess what? Time crunches were bullshit. My wife still needs to go to work and make money, but we still need to live our dream of making a popular podcast. And the only way we're going to do that with my work schedule and Anthony's work schedule is doing this on Mondays. And now we're trying this new format that's probably going to be the norm. We're going to have guests. We're going to go back to having some guests. We might not talk politics every week. We might talk fucking movies that are coming out. We might talk about some video games that are coming out. We might talk about award seasons. We might talk about conspiracy theories. We might talk about politics. But this is never going to be just a one-trick pony. We're always going to kind of mix it up for you guys, give you the content that you deserve, because here at The Cut, our main operating goal at the very end of the day, again, it's like a mission statement, right? You have, whenever you start something, you want to have the mission statement. And our mission statement, as I said at the beginning of the show, it's simple. We're here to give you real unfiltered takes on everything from politics and current events to conspiracy theories, entertainment, pop culture. It's a simple goal to keep you informed and entertained while building a mutual trust through an honest and no-nonsense conversation. And that's what I'm here to do, and Anthony is here to record that and give it to you in the most digestible format possible. So, again, like, share, comment, subscribe to this video and to the channel. We're going to keep cutting shit up for you. We're going to keep doing this because we love you guys. We know you love us. That's all I got tonight. This is Tom. I'm signing off. Thank you so much to Anthony